So right now I want to just take the time to introduce you to Financial Health Institute. They are a wonderful agency that we have partnered with for the past 3 years, and they support our Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as the community. So they're able to support with financial health awareness. They are also experts in training. So I will turn it over to FHI.
Good evening. This is Michael Kilgore with Financial Health Institute and Financial Health Lab. We've got on the line with us our founder, Sean Young, team member Joanne, who helps us with curriculum, as well as Kelly, who helps us with technology. Sean, would you like to give a greeting before we get started?
Yeah, hi. Thanks everybody for allowing us to be here with you this evening and to talk about thriving in a virtual world. As we can all see by virtue of the fact that we're all on technology to be a part of this conversation, the importance of technology is kind of essential right now. We are a training provider, we're a training system designer, and our interest really is in helping people stabilize and grow economically, and we see technology as a primary access point for that ability. We spend a lot of time in trainings, we spend a lot of time delivering in large group presentations like what you see here. There is a wide range of ability amongst all sorts of different populations, and the team at Rocky Mountain Human Services had talked to us about the creation of a digital, I don't really enjoy the word literacy, but creating some digital education so that we can help the wide span of people, from people who can't access all the way to people who can access but are struggling with Zoom or with meetings or whatever else, all the way into employment skills, and to create a central place where everybody in the city and kind of Denver can kind of go to know that they've got a trusted source on this particular topic. Thriving in a Virtual World is a new program, and it is being designed as we speak right now. Our organization has been designing online trainings for over 5 years, but what we're being tasked to do here is much larger than that. And so one of the big things you're going to hear from us over and over is we need your input. We need lots and lots of input from the community to help us design and implement a product that is actually going to be most beneficial for the entire population. So I've asked Michael and Joanne to kind of run this presentation. Michael leads all of our projects as they relate to Rocky Mountain Human Services. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Michael and Joanne.
Great, thank you, Sean, and welcome everybody to the forum. And we, again, very much appreciate your input. So as we're going through the presentation, any questions, if you put those in the chat, we're going to have 2 opportunities to answer those questions through the presentation. So we're excited to introduce tonight the new resource for you called Thriving in a Virtual World. This is a safe, engaging, and supportive space for our Denver IDD community members in order for them to gain access, knowledge, familiarity, and comfort to use the digital and virtual world. So the resources that have been talked about earlier, the internet access and the equipment, this is a how-to resource for you to use those valuable resources that the Mill Levy funding is providing. Our focus has always been on access. Access to resources, access to education, access to employment, community resources, medical care, supportive services. So what you see here is our core is access, then that takes us into knowledge, then more familiarity, which creates comfort and really usability for the digital world. And tonight, as Sean had said, we are on the beginning stages of it, and we do have things that you can access now. So we'll get to those in just a few minutes, using all kinds of technical equipment, something as simple as in the next slide, your smartphone, your laptop. Is some folks are texting now and haven't moved into the smartphone, but all of those tools we want you to be able to use to gain access to thriving in the virtual world. So there are several doorways in to this program that you can use, and they can be the live in-person classes that will come back someday, but maybe not as the same. Definitely virtual live classes. So we're giving people currently an experience to be in a virtual class with each other and learning, then individually with your computer and your phone, and then also a very powerful learning application in thriving in the virtual world is the family group setting, where the family is helping the individual and each other learn about these tools and the curriculum we have to offer. And then the one-on-one aspects of the case manager using thriving in the virtual world to gain access for them, as well as the individual they're helping. Now, and we know there are other, as we pointed out earlier tonight, there's other organizations working in this same field. And so we are collaborating with them and intend to have their resources available in this thriving in the virtual world platform. We know that as a learner, there's several modules, and we've picked 6 in the next slide, having to do with the learner's access to things. So let me start with the community of learners, which will involve the interaction with us as community members so that we can remove the isolation. The other would be social events and guided fun activities, and we know that's sorely missing. Aaron, appreciate your question here. We'll come to that in a second.
Michael,
And
I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to check and make sure everybody can see the slides. Some of us
okay,
are.
sure.
I just wanted to maybe get somebody to chime in. As long as some other people are, we'll be good. But I just wanted to check in.
Thank you. How are we doing on seeing slides?
I can see them.
Thank you, Zane. Zane's
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
can see them.
okay, great. I think we're good here. So
Yeah, also if you want to, you can get into presentation mode if you'd like under slideshow.
Yeah, no, it takes the entire screen. I'm trying to watch chat too. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So these social events, and these are the 6 elements that each learner will have access to: the library of resources, of course, the live and virtual live trainings. And then, as Sean referred to, we've already several years ago started building asynchronous training so an individual can have that learning opportunity through this TVW platform. And that's also a great opportunity for a caregiver or a family member to help the individual learn at their own pace in their home or residence. And then we're very excited to talk about the online Navigator that will be a resource for you as the community to contact and ask those questions about: where is the mute button? How do I turn this on? How do I move through one platform to another? Those simple things that, even with the great resources of the Wi-Fi and the equipment, we feel strongly and have heard from the community that we need a Navigator to help with those details. So in addition to a learner, we know that there's several types of learners. So this program will involve, like, the participant, they have their 6 modules, the parent will have their 6 modules, and then we move into individuals who's supporting, even more so the host home provider and the case manager. So all those are working together in this Thriving in a Virtual World platform, and we can see that in the next slide. So the portal is where these adaptive trainings are going to be housed, the community learners, and the calendar for community and the resources. And an important element, which we are, as a training organization, an educational organization, we're very interested in understanding and helping someone or a caregiver know what progress is being made. And so that is going to be evident and come to reality. The more the resources are used, we'll be able to track the outcome. So that's in the bottom right there around the portal, tracking the individual outcome, and the case manager will be able to track that as well, the family member helping someone virtually. So we're very excited about this piece that has typically been missing in learning opportunities. And so we'll have that in this Thriving in the Virtual World portal. So the next piece, to let you know, there is, as Sean gave us information about, we are new in this process. We're building a resourceability TVW website, Thriving in the Virtual World website. It's under construction, and this will be the doorway into all of these resources. And our next slide will give you just a simple explanation of what it's going to look like. We are taking input about these different categories, but we'll have individual access and some identification of the individual or the case manager or whoever's using the service, so we know how the progress is being made and what has been reviewed and what is curriculum has been completed and what is in the future for them to be doing. So that is Thriving in the Virtual World. And as far as the access goes now, what we have available now are technical support resources. We're going to explain and show you some access to asynchronous courses that you can use right away, and access to virtual live classes that you can access right away. And then coming is the technical Navigator service, and then the learning portal that's connected to the website, and then access to the community of learners through the website, and then individual and group outcome-based results. So those pieces are on their way. We're currently working hard to develop those, but we wanted to make sure you knew about the technical support and the asynchronous classes and the virtual live classes. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Our team wants to give all those listening an opportunity to ask questions and make comments. We're particularly interested in what are you struggling with in the virtual world access? What are your highest needs? And we've done some research in the community, and we have some items here, but could you help us tonight and participate and tell us what are your needs in the technology world and the digital world? How could we best serve you to meet those needs? We can take questions now, either with audio or in chat.
Hi, this is Catherine Carroll. I think what you're doing is wonderful. I'm very excited about it. Just shared it with a bunch of people that I work with at the State Rehab Council and Employment First. I think there's still a lot of information gaps on what people can do with technology and how it can, being connected is one thing, developing careers and work opportunities is another thing. Being creative with technology and using technology to create are some of the things that I think would be helpful. I think getting people on the right social platforms and learning how to navigate those is also another important piece. And you may already be doing those things, but I think, and I think I like this thing about access to a community of learners, which I think is really wonderful as we evolve into this next level of service delivery. I don't think a lot of people know about that yet. And I have to be honest, I'm not sure I knew about you until I got on here, and I'm kind of got my pulse on a lot of things. So I'm really excited to hear about what else you do. But this is great stuff. I just think more people need to know about it, and you might consider bringing people, direct service personnel into this, because I think creating that ongoing support through turnover and other issues would be helpful to make sure that the support continues for people and is not interrupted.
Excellent. That is excellent. This is exactly the kind of feedback we are looking for. So I heard, and others on our team, please, pitch in here. I heard the technology to create, then access and guidance around social platforms, and then regarding the community service. And I do think you've really struck something here, and that is people need to know. So a large part of what we'll be doing is community awareness, and thank you for your help and doing some of that already. And then ongoing support, as we realize in an educational institute that the learning never stops and the technology improvements never stop. So this ongoing support is a really important piece. So thank you for your input. Anything else from you or anyone else?
Michael,
I
I'd like
have-
to make a comment.
go ahead.
Just a little bit based on what was just said. I like that you also brought up the idea of people being able to gain careers and earn a living using technology and being online in the familiarity and comfort. Also knowing that a lot of job interviews are online these days as well. So yeah, that's a huge area that we want to be able to help people with as well. So yeah, go ahead.
This is Catherine again. I just wanted to add on. I think this is a really good opportunity to build a person's community of outside the disability sector. There've got to be some young tech folks who are doing some really creative things. We had an incident in our house where a student at CU in the product engineering created a product using technology, different kind of form of technology, but part of it was done through this to deal with a wheelchair problem. So two unrelated things, but we ended up with a 3D solution. And so bringing these young innovators together for both job creation and to build their businesses, I think is an opportunity that maybe an organization like yours could help with.
Sure. We want to collaborate with everybody. We want to be a conduit for folks like that to get together, definitely. I think it's a wonderful idea. And being creative too. I like that you brought that up. Creativity is wonderful.
Yeah, very good. And one of our focuses is the younger population, the innovators. Thank you for that. Arnie has a hand up. Arnie, your question, love to hear it.
Well, there's with working with folks experiencing homelessness, there's a pretty serious element of safety and health access that we're learning about and that we're sharing with folks and setting their phones up with. So we rely a lot, just from our experience, just with the cell phone, or is just there. There's a lot of virtual therapy now. There's so those are the kind of things that we've noticed, that it's like, wow, this phone is good for them for a safety and health reason. So that's what I had to say. Great presentation, by the way.
Well, thank you, Arnie. Appreciate your question and your reminding us about the homeless population and those that you're serving. So yes, what other questions do we have out there? Comments? Well, again, we're very interested to know, what are the hiccups? What are the things that are causing exclusion and difficulties with the living in this virtual world. We'd love to hear more from you now. If there's any more comments or questions, love to hear those.
Michael, if it's
So-
okay, I'm sorry, if it's okay if I jump in for just a second.
Oh, Sean, sure.
I want to point out that we are building a website and we're building this portal, and what we know is that there are a lot of people who can't access a website or a portal at this point, and that we have to build an entire continuum of training and information and support from somebody who doesn't even know how to turn on a computer yet, all the way through somebody who's more advanced, and to move into skill sets around employment and creativity, as Catherine pointed out. So I don't want people to think that, you know, okay, once we build this website, it's done. You know, one of the issues that we've seen is that a lot of places provide technology, or they provide technology services, and they assume that by virtue of giving that piece of equipment or that service, that the person then has access. And that's not always the case. We can't make assumptions about where each person is in this process. And so we have to meet every single individual, every single family, every person. And this is why this is a huge lift. Every person coming in is going to be at a very different place. Every person coming in might use a different piece of equipment. They might be using different social platforms. They might be using different video platforms. And so there's not just a one size fits all approach. So we're very aware that when we opened this door, that we really had to be listening very hard and be as thoughtful as we can about it. And we know for sure that we are not the only people in the room to be working on this. We need everybody's help, because this is a really, really big deal in our opinion. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
This is Catherine. I've got if nobody else is going to talk, I've got plenty of ideas. But I think helping providers provide information in a much more accessible format. You know, you've got Powtoons, you've got animated videos, you've got all those things. One of the challenges in COVID is that so much of the information was totally not accessible to somebody with who's not an avid reader. It was spoken, you know, as simple as it got, but there are people that don't read at all. And so it would be really helpful to engage them through more videos and cartoons, those kinds of things. I think if we're going to move in that direction, and I think even our annual reports that people put together, I just saw an annual report where it was a YouTube report with slides like this. And wow, that's a much more accessible than an expensive glossy. It's all that information needs to be much more available and accessible to people.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Totally.
I'd like to see a YouTube approach. Yeah.
Yeah, and the creative aspects that you mentioned, the verbal, the video, the cartoons, we've discussed games, math games, counting games, games about choices. So yes, great input.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions from the community or comments? We'd love to hear.
And Michael, how about we start moving into, we put together some slides to show a bit of what we already do with our financial health and employment types of classes, partly to show that, yeah, you really can have fun in both virtual live and also the asynchronous, and be a bit more creative and more, less text-based. Although we still use text in most of what we do, but yeah. So yeah, Michael, if you want to talk about the virtual live classes.
Yeah, so these are some examples of curriculum that we're using in the virtual live class, where there are multiple people on the same call. Our team is facilitating, at least two of us, usually a case manager, an agency person, or a family member is there with the individual, and we're talking about financial choices, what things cost, if they want to purchase things or not, how to make the best choice, and then regarding the jobs and employment. In this lesson, we are talking about the entry job moving up through this industry having to do with hospitality and the restaurant industry, but we're offering ways visually they can see things happening and also facilitating a class, which creates conversation and awareness rather than the talking head or lecture. So those are the elements of our virtual classes. And then Joanne can talk to us more about our asynchronous courses.
Yeah, we've been creating asynchronous online courses for years now. And but thanks to Rocky Mountain Human Services, now have the opportunity to expand that, which we're finding really challenging as well as fun, definitely. So you see, there's just a little bit of visuals from some of the online courses we have, like financial wellness in challenging times, and we've got one in credit and debt 101. And then we have some that are more, employment skills based in here, like more than a job scenarios. You see that one. Lower right, you see there's one of several that we created with Access Gallery, where you can go on and go through a workshop on creating art projects in your home. So the Dot Scavenger Hunt and Art Project follows it's based on an artist who really likes to create things with dots, and so it shows you how you do that yourself. So we have these all available, right now in an online platform that's reasonably easy to access, and we are definitely available to help folks figure out how to get in and access it, anyone that's interested in doing it, and a range of classes, like I said, for different interests, different reading abilities, definitely too. Some of them have more audio in it than others do. Some have more, like visual movement than others do. Here's a few others that we've been creating specifically for folks in the IDD community. So different ideas of what like choices you can make, as Michael said. Got one that you can help a character decide what clothing to buy to go on a special event, and buy or not buy. You don't have to buy. I totally got into all the different ways that you can cook eggs. So that was one of mine. That you can hear me talk about the wonders of eggs and that. But it's just a piece of a course about, in that part, it's grocery shopping. So learning about grocery shopping. So anybody that's interested in learning more about any of these, seeing what we do now, to get an idea of how we're already creating educational opportunities, we're more than happy to include you and start getting ideas for where we could go next from there. So that we want to be able to do more educational opportunities for people to learn about technology, like we've been talking about today, and to move into the realms about how do you have everything from, how do you actually access pieces of technology, how do you get connected online, and then how do you become more knowledgeable and familiar so you can become comfortable with doing things online, doing things with technology, connecting with other people, being in a social environment, being in an educational environment, learning, an employment environment, all those things. So
I thought I'd just speak to the development of those things that Joanne was showing us. Stems from our work in all different areas of diversity and those with disabilities. Prior to us connecting with Rocky Mountain Human Services in the Mill Levy program, and then developing these live classes that we held with participants, gave us an opportunity to understand how best to move into the virtual world classes and the asynchronous classes. So we had quite a bit of work, foundational work, that we were glad of and were very happy to participate in. And then the pressure around the COVID and the pandemic moved us helped us to use that material in this virtual way. We also utilized members of the community to help us with our curriculum development. We have a program coming out around housing that we've had specific input from a mom in the community. And so we continue to look for those of you in the community that would like to help us with this research and with the usability of the curriculum as it's designed to stimulate learning around technology. So we feel like those two things go hand in hand. We can take some more questions or comments if they are any out there. We'd love to hear more from you. I'm just checking on the chat area here.
So if I can jump in for just a second.
Sure.
Crystal had a question for us, and I think you were answering that to a certain degree. But one of the things we want to make sure everybody knows is that this is kind of open source kind of thing going on over here. We actually need experts from the community to help us with content. We can't be the content specialist on everything. We're really good on stuff that has to do with financial health and employment stability. But there are many, many areas, as Arnie brought up, about disability benefits. We have some information on that, but we could use more and help in building out courses like this. And then the other part is when these courses are designed, and specifically when they're done, we often are asking as many people in the community as we can to look at them and give us feedback so that we can keep making them better. We have tried to make it as open source as we can on many different projects, not only in the IDD community, but we do this with people in mental health and substance abuse, people in the homeless communities, people experiencing homelessness, people navigating child abuse and child neglect and prevention of those things. So we're very accustomed to working with community members to help us in our design, and we just absolutely need the feedback. And then to get access, contact us, because as a member of this community, you have access to it. We would love for you to get in and play around and see what you think and tell us how we can make them better. So, and then who pays for your online courses? That depends upon the project that we're working on. On this particular project, this has been funded by Rocky Mountain Human Services. So individuals don't pay to come into this course.
Great. Still taking questions in the chat or verbally. Anything else that we need to hear from you about tonight?
And if you have ideas or thoughts afterwards, definitely contact us.
There are a couple things. This is Catherine again. I think Shay Tanis with the Coleman Institute is putting together a technology council, a technology first council that you might want to connect with in some way there.
Yeah, I heard about that too. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And
Right.
and then I've been a big fan of, as we move into a technology first state, which I think is Shay's intention and has been mine for a long time as well, is to really look at individual technology plans and working with the service coordinators to really ask those questions and get in there and see what are the technology needs, and then writing that into their service plan. I don't think we're doing that adequately enough right now. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of this stuff. So the other thing I would hope is that this presentation would be available on Rocky Mountain's website or available through other methods. I think it would be really great. And I'd love to be able to share it with people and let them know that you have these available resources.
That'd be that's great. I mean, again, my contact info is here, and Joanne's contact info, and we would love to spread the word. That was a key point you made earlier, and for all of us, is the need to know, the need to have people understand that this is available. This is funded by the mill levy funds through our friends at Rocky Mountain Human Services, and we're very, very excited to introduce it tonight. There was
Catherine,
a question. Sean?
Sorry, Catherine, if you need us, if you have people and you say, hey, can you guys do your presentation? We have not only this, but we've kind of got an expanded version of it that goes even deeper into kind of the hows and the whys and the whats. So just let us know how we can be, of places where you think we should be connected. We're happy to do that. But you're obviously welcome to have a copy of the presentation.
Yeah, I'd rather not give it, but I'd like people to have a basic understanding. I think it's possible, and I'll reach out to one of you, and so you'll have my contact information. But I am on the state rehab council, and we have, for the adult services and vocational rehabilitation, I think this would be great information for the counselors to have, the DVR counselors. And so that's one of the areas that was addressed in the legislation around employment first was financial literacy. So we'd like not to reinvent the wheel here. So,
We would love to talk with you about financial literacy and financial health and all the rest of the things.
no, it's a huge need, and we've identified that as a huge barrier to people getting out of poverty. And that's one of our goals, is that people move into a more prosperous and meaningful life, and employment will be one of them, but financial literacy is indeed a part of that. And benefits, I sent a link, and McKellen, I sent a link into some benefits counseling through the Colorado Office of Employment First. Many of you may not be aware of that. It's just about a year old, and it is just, it'll really be ramping up this next year to provide even more training and available resources. So Colorado is finally starting to get some really great training around the state, and most of it's virtual at this point. So distance is not an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Employment First is such a wonderful program, and we've worked with you guys before and love to do it again, definitely.
That's great. Well, good. We'd love to have you.
Super. Okay, anything else from the community? We are, again, very excited to make this presentation. Anything at all that you want us to hear about, reach out to me and Joanne, and we have those things available now. That's the technology resources. The asynchronous classes are available right now, and the virtual live classes can be arranged and available right now. So be sure to not wait until the website's ready, which will be hopefully soon, but there are things available now. I'm sorry, anything else, Joanne?
Yeah, if you have questions, like there was someone who put a question in chat about learning basic computer skills. Yeah, you can reach out to us and we can help you connect to, there's some resources available online depending on the type of computer that you're interested in, and whether you have it or not for that matter, and levels of instruction. And so we can help you get connected to other things, even if it's not our own services. We're happy to do that. Kelly, I know you put your contact information in, so yeah, Kelly's a great person to contact for that. Or even if it's like, I've got this computer or this laptop or this tablet, and I'm trying to make it do this and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, we love to do it because we have to figure it out for ourselves. So we're getting pretty good about that sort of thing. And yeah, Kelly has a master's in library science. She can find anything.
So before we sign off here, I wanted to see if Abby had anything that she wanted to chime in on this project from Rocky Mountain Human Services, as she has ushered us through this process before we close. Abby?
Mm-hmm. Sean, thank you. Other than to say thank you for presenting and for being present this evening, as we are invited into people's homes and into their lives in a very unique way during this time. And I'm continually amazed at the work that you do and continue to do, not only in individuals' lives, but in the community as a whole. And that just goes to show amazing things are happening here. And so thank you.
Thank you. We love working with you.
Yep, our pleasure. Love to hear from anyone on the call. And as you spread the word, we're always available.
Great, thank you so much. What a wonderful presentation by FHI. Such great information that you guys were able to share with us all tonight.